Hi, good afternoon, everybody. First of all, I'd like to thank the Palm Beach Symphony. Thank you so much. What a great performance. I'm Ty Barnes. I'm the chairman of 211's board of directors, and I'm delighted to welcome all of you to our 5th annual Lifeline Luncheon. This event is something we really put a lot of thought into every year. We try and come up with a topic that's relevant and get some education and perspective. We really like our guests to leave feeling informed and optimistic, feeling hopeful. So before we get into the program, I want to make 2 quick messages, first about safety and second about social media. So for the safety of everyone attending, if you're not actively eating or drinking, please wear your masks. There are 211 masks on the table for everybody. Those are for your use, and I think they look great in pictures. So for pictures and videos, please take as many as you like and share them on social media to promote the great work that 211 does. In order to promote today's event, please share using hashtag 211 Lifeline Luncheon. So now that that's out of the way, I need to mention that as a society, we are hopefully emerging from an unprecedented time. It's a time when many folks have suffered loss physically, economically, emotionally. I mean, all of us here are still modifying our work routines and social lives. So even what we're going through today is still kind of unprecedented. And while we don't have all the answers, what we do know is that there's a great deal of need for hope. So today we're stepping away from the weight and stress of the pandemic to focus around renewing hope in times of crisis. Hope isn't just wishful thinking. It's actually a very valuable tool. Our hope as your hosts today is that for the 5th consecutive year, you leave 211 Lifeline Luncheon feeling hopeful. I did mention that I'm the chairman of the board, and like every nonprofit, we are governed by a board of volunteer directors, and our board donates so much of their time and talent to 211 and its mission. So right now I'd like to recognize our board members. So board members, when I call your name, please stand and stay standing, and everybody just hold your applause. We'll recognize everyone as a group. William Abel, Kelly Cameron, John Carr, John Deese, Ray Ellis, George Elmore, Janie Fote, Ken Kettner, Nancy Lambrecht, Brendan Lynch, Sarah Markadis, Rachel Needle, Matthew Sackle, Therese Sheehan, Trent Swift, Dana Trabulsi, and Lee Williams. Thank you for your ongoing commitment to 211. I'd also like to recognize one special guest that we have today, Ruthie Berman. Some of you may not know Ruthie, but she and her late partner were pioneers of the marriage equality movement, and there was even a documentary made about their advocacy work. We invited Ruthie here today because she's also one of our Sunshine clients, and she recently shared with us how important and vital that warm daily connection is to her. So Ruthie, would you please stand so that we can acknowledge you too? Now I'm going to turn this over to our event co-chairs, Lee Williams and Rachel Needle. Thanks.
Good afternoon. I'm Dr. Rachel Needle, and I've been on the board of 211 for 3 years.
And I'm Lee Williams, and I've been on the board for almost 4 years and co-chaired this event several years. I would like to thank the generous sponsors that have played a vital role in the success of this event. If you are here, please stand to be recognized. I ask that you hold your applause until the end. Thank you to our sponsors: TD Bank, Florida Power and Light, Retreat Behavioral Health, Duffy's Foundation, Guy Clark and Harrison Morgan, Stanley J. Smith and Sheila A. Jones, Memorial Healthcare System, Fifth Third Bank, Yili and Reedy Family Trust, Addison Appraisal, that's me, Guardian Credit Union, Hard Drives Inc., I Think Financial, Minto Communities, Marla and Steve Garchik, the Gallo family, Sandy Pines, Triton Electric Company, Whole Health Psychological Center, Forming Brands, the Palm Beach Post, and Sir Speedy. We would also like to express a very special thank you to our presenting sponsor of our 50th year of service, GL Homes.
I'd also like to recognize the group of individuals who worked so hard to make this event for 211 a success. The Planning Committee: Kelly Cambron, Guy Clark, Francisca Denaster, Fabiana De Rogiers, Aida Perez Flom, Janie Fote, Marla Garchik, Kathleen Hillman, Diane Yealy, Sheila Jones, Cheryl McKee, Lynn Michels, Harrison Morgan, Jody Murphy, Samantha Rhetoric, Jackie Ray, Betsy Silverfine, Beth Garcia Svopa, Kathy Valley, and Camilla Webster. Thank you all for your commitment. It's also important that we acknowledge all of the dignitaries who are here with us today. State Attorney Dave Ehrenberg, Palm Beach County Commission Vice Mayor Robert Weinroth, and Evelyn Duplessis, Legislative Aide to Senator Berman. If there's any others that I did not mention, please do stand up. Okay. Well, thank you for everyone for supporting 211 Helpline and believing in their mission. I now have the privilege of introducing Felicia Taylor. From correspondent at the Financial Times in London to anchor at CNBC, NBC, and CNNI, she covered pivotal moments in history from the Gulf War to the aftermath of 9/11 and other financial, natural, and man-made disasters. She interviewed many influencers from Margaret Thatcher to Donald Trump, Jack Welch to Carolina Herrera over the decades, leading her to conceive of and launch the sponsored series Leading Women on CNNI. The series told the backstory of women in leadership and sought to empower women from all backgrounds. Her love of storytelling brought her to Senegal, where she met the Talibés and documented their plight from climate change in her award-winning documentary film, Far From Home. Welcome.
Thank you for that nice introduction. Can you guys hear me? Not really. On the mic? Are we on? Well, I'm used to projecting, so I can do that. Geri Emmett is, I just got a little twinge. She is a personal friend of mine. She is charitable, she's genuine, she's fun, she's caring, she's kind, she's there in times of need. I adore this woman, and I don't know what I would do without her next to my side as I'm about to get married.
Oh, gosh.
So let me tell you a little bit about Geri. Geri is the founder and chairwoman of the Duffy's Foundation, a South Florida-based nonprofit organization dedicated to improving local communities through charitable contribution. She founded it in 2016 in memory of her late husband, Paul. They are dedicated to supporting organizations and individuals who positively impact their local communities. She is also a principal owner of Duffy's Sports Grill, which, if you haven't been, I highly recommend when you want something delicious and maybe a little caloric. It happens to be the largest privately owned chain of sports-themed restaurants in Florida. She and Paul were married for 30 years, but tragically, he passed away in 2015. She is the mother of Alex Emmett and the stepmother to Jason and Heather.
Oh, Felicia,
She's the best. She's the best.
thank you all for being here and supporting such a worthy cause of 211. And it's so good to be with you, Felicia, and getting ready for your wedding on top of it.
I know. It's an amazing time. It really is. So I mentioned what you went through by losing your husband so rapidly. I mean, it wasn't a very long illness, and it happened all of a sudden. Can you tell us a little bit more?
You know, my husband passed away in 2015, but really my life totally took a turn and a change in 2012 when we went away on a family vacation that every year we used to go away for Memorial Day to Casa de Campo in the Dominican. And my husband started looking very jaundiced. And of course, I did what most people do. I started Googling because I became my own doctor. And I said, oh, you just probably had too many, B vitamin 12s, or, this has to be, something like, hepatitis, something minor, I'm sure. Of course, when I was Googling, I did not pay any attention to anything that looked serious. Anything that said pancreatic or liver or anything like that, I totally glossed over. And so when we got back from our vacation, we instantly went to the doctor, and he did all the tests and whatnot. And at the end of that week, it was a long week, and I took a nap on a Friday night, and my husband, who was really a very gentle soul, for those of you who knew him, he let me take my nap. I woke up, and I would not have been as gentle. I would have woken me up as soon as I had test results, but he didn't. And when I woke up, he said, listen, you really need to pack your bags, and I have us booked on a flight to Dana-Farber. And for those of you that know the words Dana-Farber, they're not comforting. You know instantly that it has to do with cancer. And that really began a very hard journey for the next 16 months, where he struggled with the treatments for bile duct cancer, which was a rare cancer, and it was just awful. I mean, here we went from, he was so involved in his business, which he loved. I mean, he loved Duffy's and menu planning and very vibrant, to the struggle of chemotherapy and radiation and all the things that he was doing. And on top of it, he had two parents that were starting to also fail, his mother and his dad. So during these 16 months, the night before my husband passed away, his mom died.
Oh.
And then my husband died. And then his father, I think from just the shock of losing his son, his father just fell off a cliff and died 4 months later. So in this period, a very, very short period, I lost all of the family members on that side. And I mean, it got to the point that I think Shannon Donnelly, just couldn't believe she was writing another obituary. And it just was a truly shocking period for us as a family.
But when you're going through that kind of stress, how do you not literally lose it? I mean, when something whacks you up against the back like that, not once, twice, but 3 times, how do you manage it?
A lot of people would say to me, well, how are you coping? How are you coping through this period? And I think that, there really isn't coping. I mean, there isn't such a word as coping. I think you go into an immediate zombie period. You have your checklists, because you're supposed to do things. You have an automatic checklist of things you have to do when there are a lot of deaths involved and things that you have to do. And so you go into an automatic zone that you have to do. You hope that you're doing okay. And when I look back at it, you certainly aren't doing okay. I mean, you just do what you think you're doing. I mean, and I had 16 months, you would say, to prepare, right? You would say, okay, you had 16 months. But there were a lot of things that you weren't prepared for. I mean, I can't even imagine people that had lost their husbands or their child and didn't have time. I mean, there were a lot of things we didn't discuss. One of the things, my husband was responsible for his autistic brother, who was in his 60s at the time, and we never even talked about it. Like, you would think in 16 months we would have to have some conversations about this, but there are a lot of things that go unsaid, even in 16 months that you have together. And coping, I just didn't. I just looked to survive each day, and that's all I looked to do. And now in looking back, I'm sure I made a lot of mistakes during that period, because I just looked to get up every day.
Well, that's a lot of it, though,
Yes.
is moving and
Yes.
not stopping. Because
Yes.
I
Yes.
think anybody who's lost somebody that's
Yes.
close to them can understand what that zombie state is like.
Total
dreadful.
Total dreadful, and
And you never know when it's going to end.
And you have
never know.
you have total anxiety because you really, you've had so much happen and go wrong that you just assume a lot more is going to go wrong. So it creates a great deal of anxiety in your life.
What would you say to somebody who might look at you and think, wow, you've got it all. You have a great family, you have a house in Palm Beach, you have children, everything looks great. You were a successful businesswoman with Trish McAvoy, you had your own business with your husband. What's wrong?
You know, it's interesting because before my husband got ill, you know, I look back at those years and I think to myself, I was very carefree. I was, you know, it's almost like a marked timeline in my life. It was a very carefree time. I mean, before my husband was ill, I thought, well, what was I worried about? Well, you think, where is your child going to go to school? You know, let's plan our vacations. You know, you know, can you take off time here? Can I take off time there? So it becomes, when you look back at that time, you think, wow, those were the things I was worried about, you know? And then, you know, you have a whole new set of worries. And what I learned is that no matter what your situations are, or what your economics are that involved, you still face the same adversities in life. You still have the same anxieties. And those adversities that you face, they also don't help you because life continues. You are still going to have more adversities. And if you've had loss, and I've had severe loss that year, it doesn't give you armor that protects you for future loss, because you will have more loss and you will not be protected from that loss either. And it doesn't matter the fact that I had a home or that I had resources. My loss was still going to be very painful and devastating. And even the fact that on some level, because my loss was public and it was in the paper, it actually brought out more nuts when I think about it, the fact that it was more public. I mean, I had people that would knock on my door and say, oh, your husband died. I guess your house is for sale.
Oh.
I would say, oh,
Who does that?
Hello, no. Or they'd knock on my door and say, hello, is your business for sale? And I would think, oh my gosh, this is really happening, you know? So in some ways, it doesn't matter what the circumstances in life. When there's loss and there's grief, it's going to be a terrible situation.
There's no way to make it better,
No.
except, believe it or not, with time.
No.
So we're here celebrating the incredible works of 211.
Yes.
And if you don't know anything about 211, please educate yourself with any paraphernalia that you can find, because it is a vital, vital organization. And they do incredible things. And the one thing that makes me a little upset now that I'm a member of this community is that not enough people know about this organization. How did you come to know about it, and why did you call?
You know, with 211, I remember, again, having these checklists of things that I had to do. And one of them, in inheriting my brother-in-law, who was autistic, and at the time, he was turning 62. And I thought to myself, oh my gosh, maybe he's entitled to some benefits at 62, Social Security or this or that, and not having any guidance. And again, I'm working through checklists of things with my husband's estate, and also working with checklists for my mother-in-law's estate and my father-in-law's estate and whatnot. And I was definitely overwhelmed. And I thought, okay, someone at some event I went to said, you know, there's this 211 line that's a helpline, and no one had positioned it as necessarily for suicide. They had positioned it as help. And I thought, well, what do I have to lose? Let me try this. And usually I find, you know, when you call some of these places, they're really not that helpful, and it's just a little bit more work and it doesn't pay off. But in this situation, I called 211 and I said, listen, I have someone who's, you know, disabled, and I'm wondering if you could give me some advice on, are they entitled to any services or whatnot? And right away, the woman who had answered the phone said, you know, we can put you in touch with an advocate, you know, a legal aid advocate that can help answer these questions, and we'll get back to you. And of course, I was really a cynic. I'm thinking, they're never going to call me back. They're never going to give me somebody that's really going to give me the answers. And sure enough, the next day, I got a call back. They gave me a representative. I called the person. They gave me all the information I needed. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is so great. And it really ended up helping me on the questions that I had. And I thought, this is a service that everyone should know about. Because here was one of the things that I didn't know about 211. I didn't know the breadth of information that they were able to provide for people.
And that
I
there was
thought,
so much support
oh
available.
my gosh, it was great.
Yeah.
It was really, really great.
And there isn't a day in anybody's life that you haven't experienced some kind of stress where you could pick up a phone and say,
Exactly.
hey, I need a little guidance. But that's what 211 does. So what else did you find supportive during this time?
You know, I have to say, you know, when people say to me, what did you do to find ways to cope? And, you know, there's no magic answer. I mean, sometimes I was almost embarrassed with when you would look at my reading list on my Kindle because of the books that I ended up downloading. I mean, the lists were never really great. I mean, they went from downloading every book on cancer to then every book on grieving. So it was like never light reading, you know? But I found that reading books that you would always find a little tidbit in every book that you could read that could help a little bit. And so I found that was good. The other thing were friends. And you didn't need a lot of friends, but if you had one or two that were really there in your corner, I found that that was very helpful. And for me, keeping busy, and the Duffy's Foundation, which was started in 2016, was very important for a couple of reasons. One, I felt I was with my husband by really having it founded. It was in his name. I felt that doing everything in the community, which all the communities that benefit from it are, you know, the Duffy's communities, I felt that I was doing things for him and with him. I mean, they were all of the charitable projects we did were charities that we supported when my husband was alive, and I felt that he was still with me. And so it was very comforting for me, and it kept my mind busy, and in a lot of other ways, it kept my hands busy, because a lot of the charities we supported, you actually had to do things. I mean, whether it was Meals on Wheels and you were actually ladling out food, you know, in that situation, or the Girl Scouts, and, you know, you were actually packing things up, or Forgotten Soldiers, and you were packing up things for the soldiers. And I just felt it kept me very, very engaged and busy. Mm-hmm. And I think if you look at those things and you take something from them, you can contribute your time to a local charitable organization, and that will keep you busy. And I think it keeps your mind off of your immediate problem, whatever that problem is. It doesn't have to be grief, it could be whatever the problem is. Right. And that helped me. I mean, tremendously, it helped me.
And it sounds like one of the most important things that you experienced was the knowledge that reaching out helps.
Yes.
Staying silent does not help.
No, does not help. And so I felt that there was a benefit. I mean, obviously the foundation benefited me because it made me feel my husband was still with me, but it also benefited the community. Mm-hmm. And it benefited all of our Duffy's communities, and it benefited the organizations that we were helping, and it ultimately benefited people at the end. So you have to find something. And I couldn't do it without friends. I mean, I just couldn't, you know.
So looking back in all of these experiences that you've had, if you had one message to give to other people, particularly in this room, what would that be in terms of learning?
Well, there were a couple of things. I think that in looking back at the tragedies that have happened, and especially after COVID, you know, on top of it, I think the first thing is I found safety much more in another person, and my safety net was my husband. I mean, he was, and I think that's a lot of the projection you get from a marriage that's 30 years old. I mean, I think that's natural. And I found that you have to start having that safety come from within you. And I think that's the first step. When my husband died, I realized that safety isn't in somebody else. You have to take those baby steps and make the safety be about you. I mean, I could no longer really be blissful and think, okay, everything's gonna be okay. Because not everything is gonna be okay. I mean, you have to start really not thinking blissfully about everything. You have to really be much more knowledgeable about everything. You have to take those baby steps. Some of them are painful. You're not the same person anymore, and that's hard. But you know what? I had to put that safety more into myself. It makes you a little bit less soft, I think, a little bit less carefree. But I had to really learn that safety comes from within and not project out. So I think that was the first thing that I had to learn.
So these organizations, such as 211 and others in the community that offer this kind of support, how do you look upon them now? What have they shown you that actually makes things so much better for our Southern Florida community?
Well, I think that they help. I think that they help because they will lead you in the direction of finding guidance. I think that they will. And I think that's very, very important.
And gratitude.
Listen, gratitude is such a big word, and it needs to be really spoken about. I mean, when I look back over that period of time in my life, I am so grateful for so many people. Because first off, remember, I didn't need personally to call 211. And the reason I didn't is because I'm so grateful to all the people that were around me for that period of time. I mean, when I start, I had my immediate family, number one. I had my mother, I had my sister, I had my brother. I worked for Trish McAvoy Beauty for 30 years, and I had Trish at my side, who was my employer. She was very, very generous with allowing me. I did international travel, and she let me not do a lot of the travel that I should have done. There were a lot of appearances on HSN that I couldn't do, and she willingly understood because I was flying to Dana-Farber to take care of my husband. On top of that, she really taught me the gift of beauty when, after my husband died, I was just incredibly depressed. And, you know, the gift of beauty is important. She would just say, you know, Geri, just take 5 minutes, get up, look in the mirror, don't pick the 10 times magnifying mirror, she would say. And she was right. So she said, move down to the 5 times and, you know, take that 5 minutes, do your makeup and, you know, blow out your hair. She sent me the Dyson hair dryer with all the attachments. She said, and it was really a good gift. And she said, you know, just the gift of beauty, and it is important. She said, you will feel better. You're gonna, if you look better, you're gonna feel better. And she was right, because otherwise, sometimes you just don't even want to get out of bed. And that lesson, which again, being in the beauty business, she's right. And I can never thank her enough. And then on top of it, my sister-in-law moved in with me for 2 months.
Wow.
2 months she gave up of her life. And I look at her and I think, oh my God, she's another hero for me. And then I go from that hero to my partner, Carlos and Renee Morrison. And I look at them and they took me out to dinner 3 times a week so that I wasn't alone at night. And Renee texted me every day for a year, 1 year, okay? Now, you look at all these heroes that I had in my life for a year to make sure that I was okay. And I look at that and I have tremendous gratitude for all of these people because I don't know how I would have survived without any of it, you know? I mean, really.
So this is the final journalistic question that we always ask. Are there any other thoughts you'd like to share?
You know, there is, because I thought to myself, you listen, you have to survive. That's the end, right?
Well, the other
Survival.
choice is not a good one.
You got, survival's it. And it's not a sign of weakness to need help. And I think that in this country, sometimes people look at it as a sign of weakness that you need help. It's not. And whether it's 211, whether it's calling your pastor, I mean, I had Dr. Norris, who I had called at Royal Ponciana many times. Whoever it is, it's not a sign of weakness. And lastly, I think anything that you need to do to lessen the pain, I think, you know, you have to do. I mean, 1 out of 5 people face mental health issues, and you have to do whatever it is that you have to do. And I found that there were 2 ways for me that helped me get through a lot of things. 1, denial. Denial was big. I found it worked. I mean, it
I
just...
might use that now. Are you kidding?
It works. It just works. I mean, I remember the day that, we went to my husband's last doctor visit, and the doctor is writing the script, for hospice, And I said to him, "But what do you mean? We're going to go for a second opinion." He said, "Second opinion? You need hospice." And I'm like, no, we need a second opinion. So denial, I think, works. I really do. Denial got me through 16 months. So I like denial. And then I think the second is imagery. And what I mean by imagery is that some days would be very dismal. And I'd go to Royal Ponciana, and, sometimes I'd be at San Ambrose outside having an iced cappuccino. And like every once in a while, you'd see this beautiful girl walk by in a sundress, and she'd be tan, and her hair would be flowing, and she'd have an iced cappuccino, and of course she'd be 20, and I'd look at her, and I knew she was heading to a beach somewhere, and I would just think, I just want her life for an hour or two. And I would think to myself, I probably can maybe imagine her life for an hour or two, and that imagery also would help. And I think if you have the imagery and you have denial, it can get you through almost anything.
I like that.
Right?
Yeah.
And
I like that a lot.
And then you don't need to call 211 as much.
Your story
So,
is inspiring.
Well, on that
Thank you for
note,
sharing.
I want to thank you, Felicia, for being the interviewer for
My
today.
pleasure.
Okay. Thank you.
I have to move this mic down, I'm so short. Thank you so much again, Felicia and Geri, for sharing those very moving and personal and insightful stories, and those very unusual but still effective tips. So thank you. I am Sharon Larue. I am the President and CEO of the 211 Helpline. And while I am thanking people, I do want to say how wonderful our board of directors and our event committee are. They've been fabulous. Not only are they talented and hardworking, but they're fun to be around too. We love you. And I do want to recognize the amazing 211 team of staff and volunteers that are doing so much every day behind the scenes. And in particular, Candy Spitz, if she can wave, the amazing Candy Spitz. You would not believe the hours and the details that she is pulling together late into the night. And our very own Candy and Letty Gonzalez were the artists who did these lovely centerpieces. So again, thank you for helping me recognize all the 211 team. Ooh, it has been a long couple of years, has it not? It really has. And I am so happy to be here in this room with all of you now, and with those of you who are joining us virtually. At the same time, I know that there are people here today who were sick. I know that there are people who lost loved ones, who had to change jobs, who felt depressed, and maybe there were others who maybe felt a little bit guilty as they watched the chaos pass them mostly gratefully by. But wherever you landed after the last couple of years, none of us made it through this crisis unscathed. And that is why Geri's message of hope and the theme of this luncheon, renewing hope in times of crisis, is so very important. And as Geri said, everyone faces adversity at some point in time. And that is why I love the work that we do at 211 so very much, because at the moment that you or someone that you love needs our help, we will be there for you. And I'm grateful to be part of a team that can say that to you today. Over the last year, I did hear more than ever stories from people who came up to me personally and said that they had called 211 or they knew someone who had. And I'm so grateful that we were able to be there for each and every one of them. I know you already know a lot about our work. You know that we are a 24/7 helpline, as Geri talked about. We are also a 24/7 hotline answering for the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. Some of you are hearing a little bit about 988, and there's some confusion. When Lifeline changes the number to 988, your 211 team will still be answering. So whatever number you're calling us on, 988 or 211, this team is here for you. And last year, we responded to over 100,000 requests for help. So I could stand here all day and tell you stories about the impact our team has had, but Kravis Center said I was not allowed to turn this into a slumber party, so I've picked just two. So the first story I want to tell you about was about a family with 3 young children. And the mom called us. What had happened was her husband had gotten very, very sick and couldn't work. And he was in a job with no benefits. So when he couldn't work, he didn't get paid, and they didn't have health insurance. They were behind on all of their bills, and she said, I think I'm gonna run out of food for the kids. And to hear a mom say that, the tone of her voice when she's talking about not being able to feed her kids, that's hard. We knew that they had so much going on that we got one of our Help Me Grow advocates on the phone. As Geri mentioned, not only do we have the helpline and hotline, but in certain situations for seniors, for elders, special needs families, and children, we have some advocates that can help. Veterans too, I don't want to leave them out. That's a newer program for us. So we got the advocate on the phone with her. The first thing we did is talk to her about the local food pantries near her, because if you're hungry, nothing else matters a lot, right? And we needed to make sure that the kids were fed and that mom and dad knew that there was going to be food on the table. So we linked them to some food pantries near them. Then we started talking to them about clinics, because she said not only did she not know where to take her husband to be seen, but she didn't think she could pay for it, even if she did know. So we got them in touch with some clinics that were able to see the husband, and the family situation was improving. We started researching them some support for their electric bill, so their lights didn't get turned off. The husband began improving, was able to go back to work. The family was getting more and more stable. At that point, we asked them if it would be okay if we screened their children with an ages and stages questionnaire. So for those of you who are not familiar with this, they didn't have this when my kids were little. We now have a pre-screening tool that is free through 211. We recommend that all children 0 to 8 get screened, and it's a quick little check to see, is your child developing on track? Because the research shows that if your child's development is not on track, the sooner we learn about it, the sooner we can connect them to services, and the better that child is going to do. The better the child does, the better the family does, the better the community does. So we screened the children, and lo and behold, the youngest little boy had some deficits. So we were able to get them connected to some services, and I am happy to share with you that that family is doing just great now. So thank you. The family is doing great, and that just goes to show what a little love and support can do, right? The second story I want to tell you about was a woman who called us. She was living by herself. During the pandemic, she had to isolate because she was a little bit older. She had been divorced for many years, and during that time, she had become very, very close with her oldest daughter. Her daughter was almost her best friend, her adult daughter at this point. During the pandemic, because they had to isolate, they couldn't even see each other. So this woman is spending a lot of hours alone. And her daughter was a nurse at a hospital treating COVID patients. So this woman was so worried that her daughter was gonna get COVID and die that she couldn't function. She wasn't able to eat, she wasn't able to sleep. She was just churning these worries around and around and around in her head. So she finally called us, and we were able to listen to her. That's what we do first. People need to be heard, and so many people have told me that just sharing their worries is a tremendous relief. You know, there's a saying that when we share our worries, they're divided. So the first thing that we do is we listen. So we listened to her. When she calmed down a little bit more, we started asking questions. We asked her to tell us a little bit about what she and her daughter were doing to stay safe. We asked what the hospital was doing. So she started rattling off the safety protocols that the hospital had. This was before vaccinations. So it was N95s and filtration systems and personal protective equipment. So as she started talking about these protections, she started feeling more and more reassured because she knew that her daughter really was doing what she needed to do to stay safe and get through the crisis in her own way. So as she was ready to hang up, we reminded her that at any point she needed to talk to someone again, we would always be there for her. And we let her know that if she continued to struggle, that she could always reach out to us and we would connect her to a counselor who could help her with some coping skills. So again, a little caring and support can really have a tremendous impact on people's lives. And so there are a number of things I want everyone here to remember. And one is, as Geri said, let's not forget that we have each other to lean on. That's so important. Let's not forget that no matter what we're going through, there are still joys out there ahead of us. And one of the things I especially want you to remember is that you and you and you make the world a better place just by being in it. And you make the world a better place by being people who care about other people. So I am so grateful to be arm in arm with each of you on this journey together. Thank you so much for being here. And with that, I would like to invite up the talented performers of Palm Beach DramaWorks, and they are going to share with you some insight of what it's like for our 211 team on a daily basis and the impact that they're having on people's lives. Come on up.
Hello?
Hi, Nancy. It's Karen from 211 Sunshine. How are you today?
Oh, hi, Sunshine. Oh, I'm just great today. In fact, thanks to your Sunshine program, I'm able to prepare lunch for my 3 grandchildren who I haven't seen in 3 months. I'm so happy.
That sounds wonderful. Enjoy the time and rest of your day. I will call you tomorrow.
Oh, and thank you so much for calling every day. I do have one thing, though. It seems my food stamps are going to be run out, and I'm kind of low on groceries. Is there any way you could help me?
I'm so glad you asked. 211 has a program called Elder Crisis Outreach that I'll connect you with. They have access to a food pantry, and they can bring you a bag of food. They'll also help assess your situation and help you investigate what's going on.
That is so wonderful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And remember, anytime you need, just call 211.
Oh, thank you, 211.
You know, my son Bobby was diagnosed with autism very early on, and well, lately I've been worried about his brother Sean. I just want to make sure he's developing right, but I don't know who to ask.
I am so glad you mentioned it. I was at a community fair when I did a developmental screening for Sarah with 211's Help Me Grow program. It only took a few minutes and it was free.
Really? Just a few minutes and free?
Yes, it was at the 211 helpline booth. They also had information on their special needs programs. I just know they'll have the information that you're looking for.
Oh, that gives me so much peace of mind.
Yes, originally they had alerted me to Sarah's mild speech concerns, and 211's Help Me Grow program, together, we got her the speech therapy she needed to catch up.
That's great. How can I get connected to this program?
It's so easy. You just call 211.
Hi, Joe. This is Stan from 211's My Florida Veterans Program. I'm returning a call that you made earlier today. How can I help you?
Hey, Stan. I've been really struggling lately. Ever since I came home, I've just having trouble adjusting. I think my mental state is causing some tension between me and my family. On top of that, when it was time to renew our annual lease, our landlord switched it to a month by month and raised the rent a lot. I just don't know how I'm gonna deal with all this.
I get how challenging this can be. When I got back from Afghanistan, I had a hard time adjusting too. Where'd you serve?
I was deployed in Iraq. You know, I thought I'd be treated a lot better. It's felt like ever since I came home, no one even remembers that but me.
Yeah, I've been hearing from a lot of veterans that are experiencing the same type of struggles. Let me help connect you with the VA and some of their support programs and some other organizations that can help, like legal aid that can help with tenant rights. I think this will help make a difference for you. And remember, Joe, you are never alone. If you ever need anything, day or night, just call 211.
Two one one's Lifeline, this is Karen. How may I help you?
Hello.
I am here for you. I will not hang up. We can talk whenever you are ready to talk.
Is this call between us, like, confidential?
Everything you say is just between you and me. You sound a bit upset. Would you like to tell me what's on your mind? Are you thinking of hurting yourself?
I don't think I want to live anymore.
I'm here for you. Are you in a safe place? Is there anyone you feel comfortable talking to?
I'm at home in my room. I want to take some pills that are in my mom's room. I think I know I'm transgender, and my family's not going to like that news too much. I'm pretty sure they're going to reject me.
I want you to stay safe. Can you stay in your room while we talk? Is there someone you can talk to?
I have my grandma. She's always been super supportive and never judgmental. So I guess I have someone to stand by my side when I am ready to talk to my mom and dad about it.
There are plenty of other resources that can help you process everything, like Compass. They have the support you may be looking for.
I guess I can start there.
Great. And remember, whenever you need to talk, you are not alone. Could you promise me that you won't hurt yourself?
Okay. I promise.
And we're here whenever you need to talk. Just call 211. Actually, may I call you tomorrow?
Yeah, that sounds good. Call me tomorrow.
I think those performances were incredible, and what's so important about them is that they really allow each and every one of you to see and feel the work that we do in our community each and every day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Now this is the time that we have to ask you to be generous, to support the mission of 211 and the work that we do in our community. Volunteers will be coming around with envelopes for you, and we appreciate you giving generously. There are also QR codes on your tables, and you can scan those from your phone, and it'll take us right to 211's donation portal. So thank you in advance for your generosity, and it was great seeing all of you today. I wanted to make a quick mention that some of you may be having issues with the scanning of the barcode. If you are having that issue, just turn off your Wi-Fi and it should work. Thanks again.
Thank you so much. Can we give a round of applause for Palm Beach Symphony? I'm Dr. Rachel Needle, and I'm a licensed psychologist and a proud board member of 211. We wanted to end today by giving you 8 tips for improving and nurturing your mental health that you can take home with you. So I want to start by asking you to turn to the person to your right and tell them one thing about yourself. So I might say, I love playing tennis. So please do that now. Now turn to the person to your left and tell them one thing that you're grateful for. So I would say, I'm grateful for my wonderful friends and family who are here with me today to support me and an organization that I love so much. So please do that now. All right. Thank you for doing that. What I just had you do involved 2 of my recommended tools. The first is to connect with others. Connection in whatever way is most comfortable for you is so important to our mental health. And in addition, I encourage you to surround yourself with supportive and positive people. The company we keep can significantly impact our mental health, and our mental health can suffer if we spend too much time with those who bring us down or if we don't have social support at all. So choose to spend time with those who inspire you, hold you accountable, encourage, and support you. Surrounding yourself with positive people can help you live a more positive life. The second thing that I had you do was express gratitude, and Geri mentioned that as well. Gratitude is the quality of being thankful for and showing appreciation for what we have. With gratitude, people acknowledge the goodness in their lives. I recommend practicing gratitude daily. Research shows that gratitude is strongly and consistently associated with greater happiness. Gratitude improves mental and physical health. It helps people feel more positive emotions, deal with adversity, improve and build strong relationships, and can even lead to you being more optimistic. People who regularly express gratitude for the positive things in their life are shown to be happier overall. And that also leads to lower rates of stress and depression. I know for many, it can be difficult sometimes to find things to be grateful for, but make it a point to find, write down, or verbally express at least one thing that you are grateful for each day. I use an app every morning where I record before I get out of bed things that I'm grateful for every morning. I recommend you try to do the same. Another thing that is important, and another tip, is to slow down, be calm, and breathe. Calm, slow, deep breathing is a wonderful tool for relaxation, reducing anxiety, slowing down, and managing stress. There are variations. You can do meditation. You can do something called diaphragmatic breathing. There's a lot of apps such as Headspace and Calm, which I also spend 10 minutes every morning before I get out of bed doing one of these apps. You can do them for 30 seconds, 10 minutes, more if you want. So I recommend that you practice that. And I'd actually typically have you practice diaphragmatic breathing for a minute so that you can get the gist of it. But due to COVID, I'm not going to have you intentionally slow breathe all over the person next to you. It's giving me a little anxiety just thinking about it. So I do recommend that you do some sort of breathing and thing to reduce anxiety. Next, we know that uncontrollable stress can be traumatic and can take a toll on our bodies. And we've been living in this state for close to 2 years now. So I recommend finding things that you can control. This is really important to do, so make a point of trying to do that. The fourth tip is to take care of yourself. Get outside if you can, go for a walk if that's an option, exercise, boost your immunity by staying healthy. Exercise releases feel-good chemicals, which can put you in a better mood, build your self-esteem and your confidence. Here in Florida, we have the option of getting outside. So when we exercise closer to greenery or to the water, it actually helps us to feel better and boost our mood. So make it a point to do that, because exercising and feeling good about ourselves will reduce depression and improve our confidence. Another extremely important recommendation to improve your mental health is to disconnect for periods of time during the day. When we are constantly connected and on all the time, it doesn't allow for us to decompress, relax, and to enjoy and be in the present moment. This in itself can lead to poorer mental health in many ways. But when we disconnect, it can help reduce stress, reconnect with yourself, connect with others, and prioritize yourself. So I'm encouraging you to make it a point every day to disconnect for at least 10 minutes a day. You'll see what a difference that it will make in your life. Next, taking mental health breaks or a mental health day is important for our well-being. It can help you de-stress, relax, avoid burnout, rest, reset, evaluate, and understand your emotions, give you more energy, more motivation, elevate your mood, reevaluate your goals and what you want in life, and even increase your productivity. Your mental and emotional health is just as important as your physical health, so don't be afraid to take a psychological break and to get away from the things in your life that are draining you or impacting your well-being. Now pretend I'm taking a picture of this entire room and smile. All right. It may not always be the easiest thing to do, but smiling can help to lower your heart rate and calm you down. Smiling releases endorphins that reduce stress and help you feel better. Studies have even shown that you can fake a smile and still experience the benefits of feeling happier. So Fake it until you make it if you need to. Make it a point to smile more often. Does anybody know the Nickelback song, If Everyone Cared? So the chorus is, if everyone cared and nobody cried, if everyone loved and nobody lied, if everyone shared and swallowed their pride, then we'd see the day when nobody dies. And this chokes me up. Sorry. Because it's so true. And my bonus tip to you today is to look outside yourself and towards others. Care about others, be kind, and if you do, not only will this world be a better place, but you will be a happier person. So thank you for listening and for being here to support 211, an organization that supports people 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and literally saves lives. Stay tuned for the 211 website and social media for upcoming events that we'll be having. Be sure to take your bags that are behind your seat if you haven't seen them. They're filled with generous gifts from our sponsors. And in the lobby, our volunteers will be distributing candy glasses from Brown & Brown Insurance. Thank you again for joining us. Have a wonderful afternoon.
Who's in charge of the DAU over here? Who's doing too?